Hello everyone, my name is Venice and I will be facilitating the Australia Awards Solomon Islands Australia Awards Scholarship, a very last Facebook Live session, which we will talk about the English language testing. And we've got our brilliant alumni here, which I'll let them introduce themselves. Danny, do you want to start?
Okay, as you go first, my name is Danny. Me part for 2020 Australia Awards intake. So 2019, I was, probably much like maybe same as you, frustrated about how am I going to do my IELTS test. But then I went to study in Victoria, Melbourne, medium bachelor's of architectural engineering. Course for me in 4 years. So I started 2020 and the whole COVID time we still studied. And we just came back last February. So yeah, I think that's about me.
Brilliant. Gloria, do you want to introduce you?
Thanks, Venice and Danny. Yes, so my name is Gloria Lafasia. I went to study in Australia in 2019. I did a bachelor with honors in environmental science, majoring in earth resources at the University of Queensland, so that's in Brisbane. Before taking the scholarship, one of the steps to take the scholarship is an English language test. And I did an IELTS language test back in 2019. So yeah, me and Danny are here to give you guys our experiences with how we go around in our English language test. Thanks for having us here today, Ben.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Okay, so we will just thank you so much for coming. If you're watching the live session, thank you for making time out of your busy schedule just to watch the live session. So today, if you're watching or you're just joining us now, just some housekeeping for comments and answers. Please keep a respectful behavior. And basically, ask a lot of questions. No questions is silly. You have a valuable opportunity to ask our very own alumni for tips. So we're encouraging you for ask any question at all. Just a reminder before we continue, the scholarships close on the 30th of April. So if you haven't submitted your applications yet, we're highly encouraging you for submitting application till at least 2 weeks or at least a week before the 30th of April. In that way, you avoid Oasis facing some problems with the Oasis because there will be a lot of high traffic during the time because everybody else will be submitting their application as well. Just a reminder as well, if you've missed our session 1, 2, 3, and 4, it is available and accessible to watch. So the links are or will be posted on the Australian High Commission to Solomon Islands Facebook page. But we also have our very own Australia Awards Solomon Islands YouTube page. So if you missed out anything on Facebook, you can just check out our Australia Awards Solomon Islands YouTube page, and then you can access our previous Facebook Live sessions. Just a note as well, for this session, it's going to be very brief. It's going to be purely focused on English language testing and the tips that you can get from our very own alumni. Now, before you can be a successful awardee and eventually an awardee, you must successfully go through our Australia Awards Scholarship eligibility criterion as stated in our country profile, and you have to go through a lot of our assessment stages. Now, it is this Australia Awards Scholarship. It's a multi-step transparent process, and it includes shortlisting, interviews, and eventually the English language test around mid-2024. Now, English language proficiency test, it's compulsory that you have to pass as per our Australia Awards Scholarship policy handbook, and the parameters are very, very clear. You also have to meet the Australian university or institution requirements in terms of English language parameters. So, what does that mean? So, for example, if you were sitting an IELTS test like our two alumni did a couple of years back, the Australia Awards Scholarship Handbook states that you have to at least meet our benchmark of having an overall score of 6.5 with no band score of less than 6.0. What it means is that you have to get an overall score of 6.5 in reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Similarly, if you are doing the TOEFL IBT exam, which is the home edition test, you need an overall score of 84 with a minimum score of 21 in all the subtests. Again, these two tests are very similar, and they test the 4 key areas: reading, listening, writing, and speaking, and it takes a lot of preparation. Now, as I'm speaking, my colleague will put some links in the chat box so that you, in your own time, can also explore. A good website to explore is check out the short English speaking test, which is free and accessible on the Study Australia website. And then you can just assess your own proficiency in the English language. Other creative ways of practicing as well is using apps or websites like Duolingo, and in that way you can practice your English language skills as well. There are also other free online resources to help you practice your English language test. So right now, while you're filling your application, have at the back of your mind that the English language test, if you're shortlisted, is coming up, and you do need to prepare now as well. So, enough of me talking. I will hand over to our awesome alumni who will essentially share a bit of their stories and how not to prepare for English language test when they were applying for the scholarship. So I'll hand over to Gloria first.
Yes. Thank you, Venice. Yes. So me, in my experience with the IELTS test, we take a Australian Awards scholarship straight from high school. So I was doing Form 7 in KG. And then I went to do the English language test. This is the IELTS test. So tips dominoma is coming straight from high school. You get in the habit of knowing what test is it, doing the test. So it makes it easier for transition to do the test. So the test comes in like reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Okay. So tips me come around is time we doing the English language test me go with a group of friends with me start doing practicing English no. So me currently before going to do the English test me start gathering small session groups for how to do English test. So there's also online materials, but back then I wasn't confident much in doing online stuff. So as a high school student back then, me not confident too much, but now I would recommend going online with the online materials. YouTube has lots of materials for there where you can watch how to do IELTS test or so. I'm not there too, but from my experience, coming from high school, me not very confident on the online materials. So just with my little time, with a group of friends, so maybe if I surround throughout English test. It's good to know that English is our second language. So we not by me really perfect on it, but basically this test, like for teaching me is you communicate well in English, but not a country where both don't understand Fiji. So tips domina. So with my group of friends, if I practice a little bit how for writing English or speaking English or so, it's gaining confidence in speaking English. That's one of my main tips. That's preparation before the actual test. Yeah? So that's tips domina. It's good to practice English before the test. On the day of the test, my main tip is don't panic. I panic sometimes while doing tests. But coming from high school as well, teaching me like not for panic too much time doing tests. So on the test there, it's especially with the speaking, you'll be speaking with a foreigner, someone else. So sometimes you panic. I don't speak well, and this person is no better English or so. So don't panic no more. Convey message really good normal or the speaker. That's for the speaking test. For the listening, basically teaching me if you start understanding English. Time or something, they'll play a recording or something, then we try to answer questions based on listening skills. So my main tips on the day for doing English test is not to panic no more and doing English test. But before that, preparation before that is very important. I think that's my tip for that one.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Glo. Danny, do you want to share your tips?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come and share some of my experiences that I had during the process of applying for the scholarship. First thing I'd say for online resources, so you have YouTube, you have other couple of websites that they provide not only just talking about how you should do the test, but actually giving you examples of some topics that they might ask you about, and then some practice answers as well. So you can use those to practice your answers for these four main, reading, speaking, writing, and listening. So for speaking, when I was in high school, I knew that the IELTS test is coming up, like if I was to apply for an Australian scholarship. So we used for story within what the friends blew me lower school. Just use English, like even though sometimes you break a little bit and use pidgin more than speak English more. It's a good practice because it builds confidence in yourself to speak. And then another thing about speaking is at least you try to stop and think about what you want to say before you say it, because like for putting like just think a little bit and then speak. And also because I'm going to give you an example of what they asked me about during the speaking test. What now favorite food where you got a traditional food where you like it, and telling me a story about how now you feel prepare them. So try for any topic, then you try to talk about him like from stage 1 to last stage where I'm ready for you, okay? So put him into words and maybe from link him what the sentence please and make him topic and make him want to understand good. In terms of reading, I'm pretty sure you've read heaps and heaps of articles during your studies or course. So it's pretty much like you read and then you try for understanding what you read about, then you answer questions. So I'm pretty sure most of you would not have like problems doing that. Listening, that's a really tough one, because part of the playing audio inside a room full of other scholars where you will do tests together, so you have to listen very carefully and then answer your questions. With the writing, it's more like the comprehension. A current one is like you read like a whole bunch of things and then you answer questions afterwards. So it's pretty similar to that. But yeah, I recommend you going online, look for resources that they send in the comments, and just explore them, see examples, and use them to help you prepare for any IELTS test that you'll be sitting. Yeah, I think I talked too much, but thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Danny. So there you go, tips directly from alumni. So these are really helpful tips. It saves you a bunch of time, because you can just come watch this Facebook Live and just get tips directly from alumni who have successfully went on studies and successfully passed the English language test. To anyone watching right now, if you have any questions regarding the English language test or English language strategies from our alumni, please feel free to just ask in the comment section. We'll be watching the comment section, and so we can they can give you more information.
I just have one question. I'm not sure about Danny. Which part of the IELTS test do you think is the hardest for you? Like, is it writing, listening, or what?
No, I think for me personally, I think it was the listening.
Really? Yeah. I think I find listening a bit hard too, but I think for me, I think the one I'm a bit like less prepared for was the writing. I thought it was going to be the easier, but the topics I'm not sure what I'm writing like that. But yeah, I think that's what I think for me. It's use listening while it's writing. So I think my tip would be prepare, because I think if you prepare beforehand, it would be very easier for to do the writing. I think it's different topics. Yes. Sometimes if I'm not aware of the topic, I sometimes not sure what to write. So sometimes it's good to get examples there, get the online resources, because the examples, I think sometimes it's aligned with not the actual topic, but basically the structure of your writing. Sometimes aligned with like what you've read before and that. Yeah.
Do you guys have a particular way of arranging? You know how like when you answer a writing task, you can structure it in certain ways. Like, what would be like secrets in terms of structuring them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, so I think they do have a way of like reading through your answers. So the first thing would be the task. For example, if they ask you what recipe, and then they will look for like how coherent and cohesive you state him task you, and then the lexical resources means how you using vocabulary blue and what the grammar inside law of the sentences blue for you writing task blue and how you respond and follow every process where you like for talent or story blue. So yeah, so that's pretty much another thing, and then of course the grammatical requirements. You know, have to use the right past tense, present tense, whatever. Yeah, so make sure you understand how for linking task with the respond blue, how do you respond to task, how do you work in what for activity where you like to write about him, and then make sure don't forget to write your conclusion, like stating something where him shown that this is the end of the story, like in conclusion or to conclude. Something was in for him so more that okay, him ideas go finish, that's the end of the story. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I think there's an acronym for that, but I couldn't quite remember right now.
It's 4 years ago.
I think I think one we learned in high school was taxi. What's your topic? Explanation, and then X is for example, and I is implication, which essentially means a tiny conclusion. So there's various ways of demonstrating or responding to a particular topic, but it's just you have to, as Danny and Gloria say, you have to structure it in a coherent way that a stranger assessing this can actually understand what you're trying to communicate as well. Really good topics.
Yeah.
What about listening? Like, how would you approach like the listening task?
I'm not sure how I approach it, but my experience when they play the audio recording, my head couldn't concentrate on what the recording was. They're playing it, I'm trying to listen to, okay, I think for us, I think it was someone's making a call reservation, like, a reservation for a hotel, and like the audio is going on, but I couldn't concentrate. Well, so sometimes I'm just thinking, okay, this person, like, listen carefully, what is this person trying to ask the other person to do, like that. So concentration, I think, is the most important thing for listening. Don't try to concentrate as much as possible, because they won't play it again and again for you. So you have to listen carefully when the audio recording is starting.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think something that I found helpful was, because you won't be able to touch like your pen or paper yet, but you have the paper with you while they play the audio. So, like for us, example, they gave us like a whole a script of the audio, but there were some missing words, and then time of the playing audio. If I listen, sometimes I'll tell them numbers inside, room number or plot number or street number name or so sometimes when you go into the question, I'll say, time mana ko kasi him go street, what kind street pa. So if you got any technique where you say remember or say, maybe using your fingers or maybe putting a mark inside there, then you try to remember what word now. And come inside law sentence time to talk about the topic where you look like. So I think these tiny things like this, you can also look in online or tips where how people actually do listening test there. But if you keep practicing by himself helping you. But again, like Gloria said, just concentrate. Like, yeah.
Lovely. What about reading, the reading section?
Reading? Close to my heart. I think I'm reading because coming from high school, we did lots of comprehension. We read start something, and then we answer question, a comprehension question. So for me, I find it easier a bit. Yeah. So if you did collect high school comprehension before, so it's basically that. No matter, they'll give you a reading and they give you questions, answers, and what na reading yeah. Like answering questions about the reading.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's basically just describing what actually happens in the reading test. So you will be given a reading, or sometimes smaller topics of say, and they'll ask you to answer with 500 or 150 words describing what you understand about the reading. Or sometimes they'll give you a whole huge script or whatever reading, and then they've got a couple of questions for you to answer. But when you read through it, if you find something that is important, or you think it makes the reading more meaningful to you, maybe put a line underneath, because sometimes a topic from other things you say about ask him what questions follow me. So mostly him asks him from experience of they assess like how you understand him reading it, and then how well you write about answering the questionnaire. Because the more well you write about the question, you answer the questionnaire good, the more decided that you understand him reading it. So then again the linking how you answer the questions clear and important too. Of course, grammar, punctuations, and everything all comes in. So yeah.
Brilliant. And just to add on to that, if, for example, the test that you sit in, the English language test you sit in, the questions to the reading comprehension are available first. A good tip would be start with the question first before you read, because then it can indicate which particular, because if you're familiar with the question, then you go back now reading comprehension, reading paragraph or story. When you go and read it, you actually flag into yourself that, hey, this is the answer to question 2 that I just read. This is actually the question, answer to question 4. So if you flip the strategy to do a reading comprehension, it might work in your favor. But everybody has a different way of doing things, so you need to find out what works best for you. Now the very last one, speaking. Yes.
Oh, I think there is something to talk about that.
Speaking, my experience with it was a bit, I think, difficult for me, because I sometimes tend not to speak. If I don't know this, I might say something different. So the question the person asked is very sometimes an easy question. I couldn't quite remember the actual question the person asked him, but I believe it was a very easy question. No man. But how to be answered by? No, I remember I find it difficult answering it, but I was panicked now, a little bit panic, but over time we calm myself down and we speak. All right, now we can the speaker. Person asked me a question. Basically, after the interview now, let me just start. What I'd like for looking at you speaking is, can you keep the conversation going? Mm-hmm. So if they ask you a question, if you answer directly, no, it's not good. It's good to keep on speaking, adding more of it. That's when you put in, you have vocabularies there, you just speak correctly, English all right there, you just keeping conversation going. So that means this person can speak well if I'm going outside. So having that conversation going, basically is what the interviewer like for you doing. That I answer a question. If, for example, I'm asking you, how was your day? Yeah? Or you will say, I'm all right. Don't stop there. Yeah? Maybe give him more vocabs inside. It's okay. I went there. And I said, let me continue on conversation. I think that's my experience with him speaking, and my tips for speaking interview too.
Oh yeah, those pretty good ones. Of course, I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous because I'm a native Pidgin and Korai speaker. I've never spoken English extensively in my life, except for that moment. But the thing was, drink a lot of water. Make sure you go to the bathroom. Take a lot of breath. Take 3 deep breaths before you walk into the interview room, because it helps to calm your system down a little bit. And then sit up straight, just face the person, and then smile because him enlightening the room where you're inside by him reducing lots of stress and nervousness inside Louis Sullivan. And then time you speak, breathe within you speak, because if you hold him inside, by him making also you start for seke also inside there, which is by him making voice believe by him low and high and low, then by him losing some of our vocals. So people have time for listening carefully more for understanding you. And then of course just speak slowly, clearly, and then say if you mention him something where you meant for using past tense but you accidentally using present tense, not afraid for correcting yourself. Like say or say, oh, this one I meant for, but you know talent that you're correcting, but you just repeat the word in a correct way. So him realizing that he made a mistake, but him continue for correcting. Then, as Gloria said, keeping conversation flow very important because because that will come when you're at uni. When you do presentations, communicate with your friends who don't know how to speak pidgin. So I think those are the things I'd say about speaking.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Flo and Danny. We do have a question in the chat box, and it says, in the listening test, do they give you the opportunity to walk through the first questions first before listening to the recording? Also, how many times do you get to hear the audio recording? So, thank you so much for the question. To be honest, it depends on which test you're doing. Yeah? So TOEFL as compared to IELTS, both are different. I believe with IELTS, you would be given the opportunity to listen again, but it won't be a lot of times. Yes. Would you be given the opportunity to look through the questions first before listening to the recording? I believe with IELTS you have
a sheet of paper in front of you where I've got a content. Depends on sometimes there's questions. I think sometimes you fill in the blanks. Mm-hmm. So there's a sheet of paper in front of you where you can listen and formalize yourself what's going on. Mm-hmm. For the audio recording and on paper. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I think the big tips that Gloria and Danny were saying is that in order to perform well with listening the test, yes, you do have the fill in the blanks or the questions in front of you, but the first step is to calm down because them replaying the audio won't be a lot of times. Yeah? So if you calm down, you look load the questions, do a quick scan first time. So that audio play, you actually know where possible answers might go in. Very good question. Does anyone wanna ask any more questions? This is the very last Facebook Live sessions now, so this is the opportunity to ask questions. I think one of the commonly asked questions just from last year was that, if me shortlisted for an Australia-wide scholarship for Solomon Islands, who's going to pay my English language test? So if you shortlisted by passing interview and you shortlisted into the English language testing stage by Australia-wide Solomon Islands, by paying for test. Whether that is in the form of IELTS or TOEFL, that depends. But we're giving you the heads up now that you still need for prepare in the 4 key areas: listening, reading, speaking, and writing. So whichever test comes, you still need for practice and improve your English proficiency skills in those areas. But the mentality that me like encouraging you follow too is that if you're really serious about getting an Australia-wide scholarship, your preparation for an English language test must be serious as well. And so that means spending some time now in the weekends or so, not only just reviewing your application, but also just maybe reading is my weak point. Maybe I need to read more formal articles, or maybe I need to be more exposed more to news, or some reading newspaper more. And my biggest encouragement is that if you're shortlisted into the English language test, go with the mentality that you want to pass the English language test on your first attempt. That's the big mentality that I would want to encourage you to have. Does anyone have any questions more? This is the time to ask the question.
I think some question were most common question that Mr. Adam asked is, if we doing IELTS before, but we have to do him again? It's a question, eh? So I believe IELTS test last for 2 years. So if you're doing the IELTS test within the last 2 years, then him valid. But if him a long time ago finished, then you have to redo him by IELTS test now. I think that's not an answer, no. That's a question always time to ask.
Yes. So if you're privately sponsored, but you meeting benchmark will be followed, happily please attach it to your application. Yes.
With that, what about TOEFL? Does it have an expiry date?
Yeah, in 2 years as well. So I highly encourage you as well. If you get a TOEFL, you just need to have it certified. Yeah, a copy certified with them lawyer or justice of peace certified and upload in color application.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something on the topics that they might give you. You know, sometimes things that are happening around the Pacific, main events, say for example the Seoul 2023 Pacific Games, and then some events that are happening. You know, just look through them, maybe read through news.
Yeah.
You never know that when you walk into the room and then there's a bunch of paper asking about, you know, the Pacific Games or any event that happened. So, and then, but you, because you've read something about it, you have a fair idea of, you know, what the answers might be for those questions. So, you know, just try to educate yourself, not just within the box of we just wait for it to give him an answer, but, you know, at least read abroad, so that I am helping you for understanding with some of our other topics here too.
Very good.
That's true. I mean, I think one point you have contributed, or let's say English speaking English, they're doing the English test itself. We go doing, but I know sometimes we don't have a good there. Time we go study lo there, then over time it's from experience that you learn more English and so speak more English. Understanding better is like through experience. Time we go study lo there, but from the start, no panic too much. English and second language, limited language from IMIM too. So I'm alright if you not do good much, but it's good to practice for you started doing speaking English well, no, because you learn as you go. If you go happen for passing take a scholarship at 25, then you go another side, you just speaking more English and grow the English side of that side. Yeah.
Does anyone have any lucky last question before we finish? But if you don't have any questions, we just run through the last reminders as well. So just reminder that, well, first of all, Google is your best friend. So a lot of the tips that Lore and Danny give you, they're talking about YouTube links or some website links or some. You just Google them out. What are the TOEFL IBIT preparation materials, which we've copy pasted there, but there's so much more. Yeah? What are the IELTS preparation free tutorials on YouTube that I can watch? You can self-learn at home, and you don't have to wait until, let's say, Mifatali or you're shortlisted for an Australia Awards scholarship. You have to do an English language test. Preparation can start now. If you're not confident enough yet and you think, okay, maybe I'll take this next 6 months to prepare, then maybe take this 6 months to prepare and the next year you apply again, because the scholarship will still be offered. The applications for scholarship will still be open next year as well. So last but not least, just a reminder that the application due date is 30 April 2024. Highly encourage everyone for submitting application 2 to 1 week before applications close. Once I'm closed and finalized, before you submit your application, please download a copy for yourself. download a copy for yourself, yeah, so that if you're shortlisted into interview, you don't panic because you already have a copy to refresh yourself on like what are you actually writing about, what did I want to study and why did I want to study this as well. Helpful links are posted on there as well. If you've missed out on this session, just check us out on YouTube and catch up on a lot of our other session. If you haven't got our online application information kit, our template of our CV and referee reports, you can email us on enquiries@australiaawardsolomonislands.org.sp, and our automatic reply will have these 4 key documents for helping you, assisting you writing the quality application. Other than that, thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you so much, Danny, for sharing helpful tips. If you submit to follow and you would want more tips on the English language testing and how to prepare and be very strategic about your preparation, please feel free to reach out to them.
Just buy me lunch and we're done. Okay.
So other than that, thank you so much for watching and good luck with your applications.
Thank you.
Thank you.